Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie. I'm the introverted reader, or rather, today's the lazy reader because once again I am sitting before you wearing my big fluffy hoodie that has makeup all over it. Don't look. But yeah, it's my Saturday off, and obviously I have to film this video, and I got up and showered, clearly. But yeah, I just couldn't be annoyed actually putting clothes on. But we're here to talk about my October wrap up. Finally, I somehow read 9 books in October, which is crazy because with going away on holiday, I didn't think I was going to be doing that much reading, but I did. Crazy to think I was in America a month ago. That's crazy. Anyway, let's hydrate. If you have yet to hydrate, please do so. So yeah, let's talk about the books I read. So while I was away, I had my Kindle with me. She travels with me. We had a great time. And the books I read on here, I first read Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. And I also read the second book in that series, Children of the Fallen Gods. That's what it's called. I read those two. And yeah, it's basically about this girl who was sold into slavery when she was 13. And for 8 years, she was enslaved to this horrible, horrible person. I would look up trigger warnings for this series if you're planning on reading it. But she ends up unaliving her slave master. And her best friend sees this. Her best friend like busts in and he's all like, girl, you have to escape. And she's like, I want to take you with me. And he says, no, if we both disappear, it'll look shady. So you go escape. And she leaves. And she leaves with the intent of going to this organization called the Order to basically plead with them to teach her their ways, teach her their magic, and so that she can save her friend and all the other slaves. That's basically the gist of the story. And the love interest, see, the thing is, there is a romance in this series, but honestly, I would describe it as they're fantasy books, but they have a romantic subplot. Like, the romance isn't like first and front in the series, and the romance is quite a slow burn, which I did appreciate. The first book I gave 4 stars, but then the second one I gave 5. The second one was actually really, really good. And I'm about 20% of the way into book 3, so I'll let you know how that one goes. But yeah, those two were great. And then the other book on my Kindle that I read was Omen's Bite by PC and Kristen Cast. That is the sequel to Spell's Trouble, if I remember rightly, the first book in that series. It's called the Sisters of Salem series. And it's basically about these two twins who live with their mom in this wee small town. And they're descendants of this woman who was accused of witchcraft during the Salem witch trials. And, they all have their own ways of doing witchcraft and such, and they all plead themselves to a certain deity. And all around their town, there's these trees, these like sacred trees that are like gateways to certain underworlds. Like there's an Egyptian tree, there's a Hindu tree, there's a Greek, and I can't remember what the other one was. Egyptian, Hindu, Greek, and there's another one. There's others I can't remember. I think one of them I said Hindu, didn't I? Yeah. But anyway, and basically they're in charge of maintaining these trees and keeping the doorways of them closed so that what is ever on the other side in the underworld, be it good or bad, stays where it's meant to stay. So, and do you know what? That is the gist of that. That's the gist of that series. But this second one was like I read it so quickly. Like, it was one of those books that you just couldn't put down. So yes, that I read those 3 books on my Kindle. My brain is soup whenever it comes to trying to remember what I read or what I didn't, especially on holiday, because that feels like forever ago, even though it was only a few weeks. But anyway, so those are the books that I physically read on my Kindle while I was away. I also listened to 2 audiobooks. I listened to Nine Liars by Maureen Johnson. This is the sort of next book within her Truly Devious series. Although like the Truly Devious trilogy is like its own wee arc, and then there was Box in the Woods, and then there's this. So yeah, so this is about our girl Stevie Bell, and she is, you know, at Ellingham Academy. She's bored or whatever. Her boyfriend David is away studying in London, and that's where he should have stayed, frankly. David's a dick. If you've read this, you understand why. And then she gets a phone call from him being like, hey, you should come over here, you know, for a bit, and, you know, we can hang out and like see each other. And so she ends up going over there, only to find that a friend of David's had an aunt who witnessed a murder, basically. Her aunt is like, was like in this friendship group, right? They were the 9, right? And they, whenever they graduated university, they all went to a country house where 2 of them were killed with an axe. And, you know, yes, one of the remaining 7 saw something she can't explain. This was no break-in. Someone's lying about what happened. Now, I was really intrigued by this premise. Too bad the execution wasn't great. Honestly, if I'm being honest, the majority of this book was just Stevie, like, she was either whining about not being with David whenever she was in America, and then they get to London. And, you know, Stevie wound me up the wrong way in this one. Like, all she kept thinking about was David and how she wanted to have sex with David. And I'm like, fine, if you want, like, taking that step with your partner, that's fine, that's great, whatever. Don't make your partner your whole part. Do you know what? Don't even open that door, right, me? And like, they were going around London, and like, all the others were so excited to be there. But like, Stevie is like, she reminds me of one of those people that is just blah about everything. Like, the type of person that like never gets excited about anything, doesn't appreciate, like, you're in London. Do you know how many people dream about going to London but never get to go, and all you're thinking about is that you want to bone your boyfriend? Like, and to be honest, the whole murder mystery, like, we only, like, for the majority of this book, it was just all about Stevie and David and their relationship, and then interspersed was the little inserts from what happened in 1995, and you know, with the murders, and it was hardly about that. We could have wrapped this up ages. This did not need to be this long. It could have been way shorter than it actually is. And the ending, when she actually solved it, I was like, where are you getting all this from? Where are you getting all this from? Where did you come to this conclusion? Like, it's literally like we were getting near the end of the book, and it was just like, oh, we need to cobble together this convoluted theory real quick, and then boom, everything's solved. Yay, let's go home. It's like, maybe someone smarter than me can probably explain it, but all in all, I wasn't impressed, and I bumped this down to a 2-star. So I might have to change it on Goodreads, but I bumped this down to a 2-star. Sorry, not sorry. However, to a book that didn't let me down, Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. This is the final book within the Heroes of Olympus series. I love this series. Listen, when I read this for the first time, this was not my favorite book in the series. I remember when I read this for the first time, I was actually kind of disappointed. But now, upon reflection, I understand. I used to not like Jason Grace, but now I love Jason Grace. I don't understand what was wrong with me when I said that I didn't like him. I mean, Piper might need a wee bit of work, but I don't understand why I said I didn't like Jason in the beginning. What was wrong with me? Like, if I could go back in time and whack myself for saying those heinous words, I would. But, I mean, is this my favorite in the whole series? Probably not. Did I still give it a 5-star? Yeah. But I think my favorite in the series might be either Mark of Athena or House of Hades, like the one before this one. But I mean, all in all, this is a fantastic series, and if you have not read it yet, please do. Yeah, I love this series so much, and I'm so excited to get the Chalice of the Gods. You've no idea. Hold on. I don't want to squish my Kindle, because that's what happened to an old one that I had. I squished it and the screen broke. Anyway, so on to the rest of the books that I read. I read Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, the comic. This is volume 3. And can we just appreciate the covers for these? The covers for these are absolutely stunning. Look at my ancient Chinese gay dads. Look at them. I love them. So yeah, this is volume 3 of the comics. I've gone on and on about this more than enough times already. Any format of this story that I can get, I will get. Like, I need to rewatch the show. That's what I need to do. But I loved it. I mean, not much went on, but honestly, I didn't even care. I'm going to give every single one of these 5 stars, and I'm not even going to hear anything about it, Linda. I'm not. Oh dear. Here we go. A bit of a disappointment, this next one. Space Band by Tom Fletcher. I DNF'd this. Not because I didn't think that it was good or anything, but see, the thing is, yeah, this is a middle grade. And I don't have anything against middle grades. I will read middle grades all day, every day. All right? There isn't anything wrong with that. But it's like younger middle grade, if you know what I mean. And it really showed. And honestly, as a 31-year-old, I was sitting there and I was just like, I'm not the age for this. But then again, like I said, I will read middle grade all day, every day. There's nothing wrong with middle grade. But there are just some that are just too young for me. Like, this didn't feel like middle grade. This felt like a young child's book. And, I mean, it's got all these cool illustrations, and there are some words that are written in bold, like as if the character is shouting the word at you, and that got a little bit annoying after a while. And the term rock and rock out was used way too many times. And again, nothing against this book, nothing against Tom Fletcher. I might try another one of his books. We might try, what other ones has he got? I know he's got loads, like he's written so many. Like, I might try the Christmasaurus, we might try the Creakers, we might try something else. But this one is just not for me. But I think I might give this to my sister, because my sister enjoys easy to read wee middle grades like this. But listen, we're still McFly fans, okay? I will forever be listening to McFly's music, okay? I never listened to any of the music that they listed in here. But listen, I will continue to support Mr. Fletcher. It's just his sister's books aren't for me, but I want to give him one more chance. Why the Fletcher's book's not working out for me? I thought we were friends. Anyway, so another audiobook that I listened to whenever I got home was Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. Now, I had plans to just physically read this, but then I was like, girl, get the audiobook. What are you doing? So I got the audiobook for it, and this was amazing. This was so heartfelt. This was so just get you in your feelings type of book. So it's basically about these 2 young women called Camino and Yahara. I deeply apologize if I'm pronouncing those wrong. But anyway, so it's about these 2 young women, Camino and Yahara. Camino lives in the Dominican Republic, and Yahara lives in New York City with her mom. And they are half sisters, but they don't know about each other. They have the same father, different mothers. Camino's mother passed away, and she lives with an aunt. And obviously Yahara lives with her mother in New York. And they have the same father, different mothers, but they don't know about each other. And tragically, their father dies in a plane crash. And it was actually a for real plane crash that actually for real happened, because Elizabeth Acevedo dedicates this book to them. The people that died. She said, in memory of the lives lost on American Airlines Flight 587. A plane crash that I knew nothing about were it not for this book. But anyway, so obviously they find out that their father has passed, and it's them dealing with their grief and the trauma of that grief. And again, look up trigger warnings before you get into this. Talks about grieving, what it does to your mental health, how it affects you emotionally, physically as well, and also massive trigger warning in this book for sexual assault, and stalking as well, particularly when you're reading Camino's chapters. Tread carefully, friends. So it deals with a lot of heavy topics, but in the end it's basically about these two young women grieving for their father, but then again discovering each other, and you know, coming together and sharing in their grief together and sharing in their happiness of finding each other, because it's a shock whenever they find out about each other. But then they meet each other, they talk about their dad, and you know, they do become close, and they realize that it's like, maybe this was meant to happen. We were meant to find each other. You know, our dad may be gone, but his death brought us together, and that's a good thing. And listen, if you haven't read this, highly recommend you do. Again, look up trigger warnings before you do. But I love Elizabeth Acevedo. I've only read 2 books of hers thus far, but I want to read everything that this woman puts out. So yes, I love this. 5 stars. And the last book I want to talk about, Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. This was a reread for me, but I reread it and I tabbed it and I annotated it. It was a wonderful time. When I read this for the first time, I said it was like a C-drama in a book, and that is exactly what this is. This is a costume C-drama in book form. Like, you've got gods, you've got goddesses, you've celestial beings, and you know, prophecies, and you know, magical weaponry and all the stuff. Like, if you're a fan of those types of costume C-dramas and you haven't read this, highly recommend that you do, because you'll love it just as much as me. So it's basically about our main character, Xingyin, who is the daughter of the moon goddess. And her mother, you know, is raising her in secret. They can't know that she exists, because her mother is under house arrest by the celestial emperor and empress. She committed a crime. I'm not saying anything. In their eyes, she committed a crime, and she's being kept locked away in her palace. And there's one day where Xingyin's powers start to manifest themselves, and she basically almost outs herself to the outer celestial realm. And her mom's like, they can't know about you. You need to go. You need to be far away. Like, if they find you, they will kill you. So she ends up having to leave her home, and she ends up going in disguise, pretty much, in the celestial emperor's palace. And she becomes very close with the prince. We love a romance in this house. And she, you know, learns about so much within the celestial realm that she didn't know before, you know, because she only ever knew her own little bubble when she was living on the moon with her mom. And she makes it her mission to free her mother from the curse that she's under, and, you know, break her punishment so that her mom can be free. And I love this. I love it so much. Loved it the first time I read it, and now I'm loving it again the second time I read it. And I'm excited, but also quite nervous to read the sequel. I mean, could this just be a standalone? Yeah, but you know, the sequel does still exist, and I am looking forward to reading it and seeing what else our girl gets up to. But all in all, this was a 5 star. I don't care what anyone says. This was a 5 star. This was amazing. And again, like I said, if you've never watched a costume C-drama before that involves a lot of the stuff that's in here, you're not going to understand it. And I feel sorry for you in that regard, my friend, because you are missing out. Anyway, this was a 5 star. So, yeah, that's all the books that I read in October. Oh my goodness, I dropped it. Ups and downs. Ups and downs, but you know what? That's just the way it goes. Okay? So I'm hoping that you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if I talked too much. Let me know, did you have any new favorites come across in October? Did you have any flops? Any books that surprised you? Let me know. Down below is all of my socials, my Twitter, my Instagram, and my TikTok. Feel free to follow me over there. And subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to get to 300 subscribers. I'm at 286. So I really would love to get to 300. That would be amazing. So yeah, I hope you're all having a good day. I'm gonna go chill out, and so I shall see you guys in my next video on Tuesday. Love you. Mwah.